I'm just curious, just listening to you tell your story. We'll get into some of the bioethics later, but does it get you down just being around all of that death and illness, hospitals, older people dealing with these kinds of issues? How do you handle that emotionally?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a very good question. And in fact, Rabbi Meir, when he was sick, he was sometimes doing a little bit better, and he would come back to the hospital, and I could ask him some questions. And my first
Mm,
question for him was, how do you do this every day? Don't you find it depressing being around so many sick people, so much illness, death, and suffering? His first answer to me, if you've been to Cedar Sinai, you'll get this. He said to me, "What do you mean? This isn't a hospital. This is an art museum," which our hospital is. But then he said, it's also a hospital. And he said to me a very profound answer. He said, in most of life, the people you meet, they say they're doing well. If you ask someone on the street, "Hey, how's it going?" Everyone says, "Oh, good. How are you?" But in reality, they might be, suffering. They just don't open it up. In the hospital, on the other hand, you walk into a patient's room and say to them, "Tell me about how things are going today. What are you experiencing?" And within seconds, people are opening up about their deepest secrets. People are crying within
wow,
minutes. He
wow.
said, in most of the world, people's bodies are healthy, but their souls are not. In the hospital, you often find that people's bodies are sick, but their souls are very healthy. And so
Wow.
you find it to be a very meaningful place. And then the opportunity to be able to help people and try to be there for them in these times, I find it actually very, very inspiring and very meaningful.
I had a little brush with this myself years ago before I started MGE. I was the assistant rabbi on the east side at KJ with Rabbi Lookstein. You should live and be well. And I was in this, I was one of the questions Rabbi Lookstein asked me on my interview. Are you a Kohen? Now, when you get that question on an interview, a rabbinic interview, you know you're going to be spending a lot of time in the cemetery. And I actually found it quite meaningful also. I remember all of my lapels, not lapels, what do you call that? My cuffs in my pants. They
Uh,
all had some dirt from the cemetery, and on the surface also it was like I'm just thinking back now. I actually found it quite meaningful, being there for people at that difficult time. So,
yeah.
kol hakavod to you because not everybody can handle that, and I'm sure you have to create a little distance between yourself and the people you're trying to help because um, it can take a toll.
A little bit. I remember once I was in the elevator when I first started working here with a bunch of residents, and they seemed like they were very shooken up. And I heard one resident saying to the other one, "That's the last time I'll ever get close with a patient again." Another one said, "Oh, yeah, you can't get close with them." And I remember feeling so sad about that. And then
Right.
thankfully, the third one said to them, "But we're here to care for them. We're here to help." And I just, that struggle was a struggle that I could relate to. And,
Yeah.
you have to have a distance, but you also have to really care and be there for people.